oozes damage or because she shoots aggro or anything, even though she does both of those things, various Street Fighter tournaments, but still attends matches just to showboat around and see how quickly he can make somebody quit. Most bosses should consider themselves lucky if they can so much as get up. It's kind of hard to tell. Number 2, Black Knight Teeth. You like spirit ashes that can dodge everything despite having little HP? Well, what if you took that Stormhawk summon and gave it a fucking breastplate and a helmet? And a knife. Black Knight Teach has it all for me. Great lore, solos weaker bosses in the game without much effort, and can still assassinate it. There's very little this chick hasn't seen. Highly dependable, fights like a wolf, and she's useful every single time you bring her out. And that's pretty cool, but you know what War Thunder has? Planes. Yeah, over 2,000 vehicles in total to be exact. Does Elden Ring have tanks and planes and shit? Does it give you a free care package if you don't play for 6 months? A care package that you can find a link to in my description and pinned comment right now? Yeah, yeah, I thought number 1 from here. That's number 1. It's the minute here. Honestly, if you made it to the end of this video expecting anything else here, fuck you. Fuck you and your old vitamin deficient family. You know this is good. You already know why this is good. People couldn't shut up about it 10 months ago. I can't shut it be. Mimic tier being at number 1 is why people started asking for these to be in reverse order. And I get it, because what's the fucking point? Hey, don't take that mic away from me. I'm not done, pussy. I'll end this video when I fucking feel like it.
Pero particularly with his school, the decentralized one, the paper made.
Number 84, the Noble Sorcerer. The more things change, the more they stay the same. I've seen soul jars disintegrate into ash and nothingness after being sneezed on by a fire slug. I've seen Miranda Sprout spawn in at the fringe of a boss arena and hug the corner of the wall for 5 minutes while I frantically try to summon something else. But when it comes to the worst, I can't confidently call it a competition. The Noble Sorcerer is an unsalvageable mess of insufferable AI, horrendous damage output, snail-adjacent attack speed, moves with all the urgency of a retired bus driver with 6 kids and a urinary problem, flat out refuses to fight dragons, dump his through his health pool like an old Nissan, farts through unleaded fuel, and even the item description has zero faith in the capability of this spirit ash. Generally, summoning these wastes of HP is like running your own babysitting service. They don't fight for you, they don't do anything for you. They just become your responsibility for a few minutes. And if I say you can wait for them to get killed easily to power up the Dragon Cake Talisman, I'm just going to have to state that argument for every shitty spirit ash that pops up, so I'm just not going to use that as a talking point. But if I did, it wouldn't even matter because their low mobility almost always leaves them clumped up in the same spot, rendering them vulnerable to AoE attacks or even a fucking melee string that can just sweep up all of them at once. Utterly pointless since the Dragon Cake buff doesn't stack with itself. These little shits can't even die right. If you've ever wanted to experience what it's like to water your neighbor's plants while fighting the dragon, this is the experience for you right here. I'm trying to play the game, not for a fucking festival garden. Number 2, the Bloodstone Sorcerer. Instead of explaining what this spirit ash can or can't do and making fun of its overbearingly large amount of weaknesses, I will instead make this section into its own impromptu list. Top 10 ways you can spend 49 FP. Casting Golden Bow, casting Bale's Tyranny, using the Kalian Sovereignty skill, building an HP regen strategy, using the Flower Stone Gal skill and leading it into KOS, using Fire Serpent to proc an enemy dodge and comboing it with Vesmagor, 5 Bloodstone Nails, 12 Arrogant Slices, turning someone into shredded cheese using Revenger's Blade, literally any healing incantation. Okay, so now that I've thoroughly indicated you want to make resourceful use of extending one's FP, you can go forth and teach other people as well, instead of using this summon for a beam run that objectively isn't doing fun for you or fun to anyone. Number 81, the linkage of this shot. This is where I really started raising my eyebrow at 1.13. Will no longer stagger as easily, can really just mean anything at once. And no matter what that upward adjustment may have been, it seems to have completely forgotten about flying spears and their being pretty to showing you their impression of a beached whale after one minor inconvenience. The link misbegotten sucked ass then, and it sucks ass now. Retroactively, this summon is a fumble of mythological proportion. Like, how did you even fuck up a flying enemy? The Stonehawk and Warhawk summons offer some of the greatest utility despite being relative and unique actions, and I've seen Josh clear entire tail swipes from a dragon just by timing his jump correctly. Verticality should be fucking awesome on spirit actions, so what's the deal here exactly? I honestly think if you just raised him up like 3 feet higher, you might actually start being decent. He's not carrying entire boss fights by himself or anything, but when you're this low down, I mean, fuck, anything helps. Number 80, the Soul Jars of Fortune. They're just bad. I'm sorry. You aren't even immune to their own explosions, and they're still asking you for a chunk of your HP bar. That's not some glancing blow you're taking either. Like, that shit fucking hurts. Can't make use of Dry Bouquet because it died too quickly and just keep refreshing the buff 1 second after it's already activated. They buckle and give up at the mere mention of anything fire-related, zeroing out whatever potential they had against like 70% of the boss roster. And the only fun I've ever really had with them is by swallowing double ruptured tears and racing in to help out their cause. They're horrible when it comes to just about everything. But embarking on such a noble mission makes them cute and adorable, and that means I have to like them no matter what. However, since their explosions do fire damage, you can craft a couple oil pots and time a throw when one of them explodes to maximize damage. Oil Source Tier isn't recommended though, since their explosions will damage you too. Number 79, the Spider Scorpion. Do not ever summon this spirit against the field boss because you'll just spend the next 45 seconds looking for it and then finding it and trying to beat the shit out of a jellyfish or something. Also, don't ever summon this against dragons and magma worms because it has no evasive tactics or urgency when moving whatsoever. 8 legs and no mobility means that there is a god that he fucking hates you. It seems to forget about its own ranged attack half the time, and if you're unlucky with spawn points, you could very well be spending minutes of time waiting around until it actually starts producing some value. With all the different creative ways you could drop poison on either a boss or yourself, there's really just no need for a Spirit Ash who has noticeable trouble even paying attention to the goddamn big dude with the big health bar in the center of the room. Number 78, the Page. Mediocrity is this summon's past, present, and future. It was mediocre when the game released. It's only continued to be mediocre since, and his potential for damage, if any at all, is power bombed through a coffee table by his extremely low HP and that single-shot crossbow that he just shouldn't have. I legitimately can't tell if the item description is even supposed to be a diss or not. Usually these descriptions are pretty good at writing singers and murdering their own ideas with the written word, but saying nothing is asked of ability, talent, or volition is a roast of solar intensity. If someone hit me with that in 3rd grade, I'd be faking an illness just to get out of school for the next week. I would be a fucking therapist after that guy. And somehow it's the most accurate thing I've ever read. No one with any modicum of fighting skill, let alone a sufficient amount of object permanence, would try to shoot their crossbow at something through a brick wall and then turn around and look at me like I'm the one who fucked up. Number 77, the Wandering Nobles. Well, at least there's 5 of them. If they had the urgency to actually disperse a little and not remain super glued to each other's shoulders like a gathering of sorority girls, I might actually consider using this summon as a good setup for the job. Then I can't say these boys are totally bogus, but I'm going to be here all goddamn day if I keep excusing bad summons by saying they're good at beating meat shields to proc talisman effects. Number 76, the Claymen. Hard to stagger, but hey, they no longer stagger as easily, so that's good news. More fuel for the boys tank. Now, let's put that buff on a summon other than the 2 glass bones Andes in the county nursing home and we'll be in business. Give them a stimulant prescription and a kick in the ass and they might even make it to the goddamn boss before they suffer from cardiac arrest. So I guess that means holding aggro's out of the question. You can trigger the effect of Carian retaliation by parrying their bubble spells at the expense of having to admit to people you just used Carian retaliation. This is always something that happens with Spirit Ashes. If there's any variety within a single mob whatsoever, this game will go to embarrassing lengths to make sure you end up with the shittiest one. The Page summon can't 3-tap, the Clayman summons can't do that roly-poly shit they do when they need to catch up to something. The Scorpion just develops amnesia and forgets it has a fucking tail or something. I mean, it's not like that utility would have helped, they would have just died quicker, but at least I'd stop feeling like a high school football coach dad trying to push his 300-pound son out of bed. Number 75, the Skeletal Bandit. Whatever it does worse and less consistently than it would if there were 2 of them. Like, that's just common sense. That's called math. Any reason you think you have to choose the bandit over the militiamen skeletons is either preserved One of my girlfriend's life is that I had sisters, I grew up with older sisters, and apparently, I guess one third girlfriend that's like a lot, so I just didn't with them.
Prisoner 41J, you have been found guilty of 5 counts of first-degree arson across Limgrave, endangering the lives of hundreds of innocent citizens, and in an act of aggressive destruction of property, attempted to rob the cargo car while piloting. I am the Little. I wiped my arms and obeyed the your whims and flossed my teeth with the swords of your soldiers. The court sentences you to be hanged for your crimes. Have you any final sayings before your death?
Wait, man, have you looked at this guy? He's like mentally gone. I don't think he can understand what we're saying. I doesn't even know where he is.
I fail to understand how this is of any concern to the court of London or the safety of its people. We are stupid use and nothing more. Mental anguish is of the poorest excuses for crimes.
I'm not arguing with that, but in these records, this guy had a weird life. According to his employment, he spent 26 years as something called an influencer.
What sort of preposterous profession is that supposed to be?
I guess it's what they called entertainers in his world, kind of like a jester. He spent every waking moment of his life making a specific type of video called a tier. Not sight that a difference look to me again. Piss drenched python. You summon the review bots. This isn't an open booking here.
Release him. Exile him from this nation. His existence in this mental state is but punishment enough.
Today we're ranking the legendary armaments. There's 9 of them. Is that cool? Is that cool with you? How about you follow my Discord server? Yeah, that's a good idea. You already have 247 servers on mute anyway. Well, why not make it 248? Go ahead. Just see what happens. Do it. So, obviously, we're starting with the bottom of the barrel. But shit, this isn't even the barrel. The showtime dug through the barrel, down into the ground, and struck enough oil to pay off all the college debt in America. Death Blade will never be viable. It just won't. Everyone has already compiled their own list of ways you can two-shot people in PvP. If you make your whole game about cheating the shit out of everything, you're just gonna make PvP balance a nightmare for yourself. But at least they cared enough to fix it with the Coliseum update. The Eclipse Hotel is not completely worthless, but calling it a legendary tier item means it's getting compared to the Legends. The use of Deathblight is already limited to the severely narrow hallway that is the multiplayer experience, and if you have enough damage and holy boosting talismans, you'll just kill whoever you're fighting on damage alone before anything even procs. It has a significantly shorter range than other curved swords. It can't be altered with affinities, and it needs an ass ton of work and investment to make a build that competes with other equally strong and somewhat correct. Congratulations, Eclipse Hotel. You're the worst legendary weapon of the entire lineup. I hope you wake up tomorrow with wailing. Why did I write that? The Devourer's Scepter represents a vision of the future seen by Riker during his final moments before he became snake shit. How about you devour these nuts, Burnhall? It's one of the longest great hammers you can find in the whole game, and I have officially run out of positive things to say about the Devourer's Scepter. Oh, and it's great for small mobs that wouldn't pose any threat in any situation to begin with. Now I've run out of positive things to say. Suggested by 4 out of 5 professional magma sorcerers straight from the bowels of the Great Serpent. I guess the other guy actually knows how to play the fucking game. Everything used to be with Radial Vessel Candlestand can do significantly better, and without having to split your stats down 3 different avenues. And if we're being outclassed by Victorian furniture, then we're in real bad shape. If you've already invested in these stats, that puts you on a one-way road to the Blasphemous Blade anyway, so you might as well pick up 11 worth of shit. Sure, AoE lifesteal is neat, that's all good and fine. You know what else is fine? The Gravitas skill with Taker's Cameo. There you go. In all honesty, this skill does give you 15% of your max HP for enemy hit, so it's great to have in your back pocket if you're out of healing and want to top off, I guess. I'm not willing to be too mean to this weapon, but I am willing to be just mean enough. Maybe it pulls a little more weight in New Game Plus iterations, but plenty of non-legendary weapons are already doing that legwork anyways. And why the shit in hell does this thing need 20 decks? Until anyone gives me reason not to believe this, I'm just gonna continue thinking this was the only creative contribution George R. R. Martin made to the game. This sword is, It's okay, I guess. It has decent base damage, but with the good strength stats, it becomes a fucking monster if you get it fully leveled. The unique skill is Endure, with like a tiny stat boost. The skill received a buff not too long ago that extended the stat buff duration to 60 seconds, so if it's early game, you now have enough time to put on the buff and then quickly expunge that shit from your inventory in exchange for a better weapon. Come to think of it, that's probably what you should be doing with the simulars. Spell and catalyst requirements leave them slightly easier to meet, it stacks with Godric's Vermin, and you're slightly less likely to cause an earthquake with your dump truck pair of ash cheeks. It's a little helpful in all spaces, and those spaces rapidly close up the further into the game you go. It does have relatively small stat requirements though, which makes sense considering you scrape it off the Elden Ring equivalent of a homeless person. It's honestly a wonderful weapon that'll carry you home for your game if you upgrade it properly, but the minute it falls off, it's a 90-degree angle free fall straight down without a parachute, and it's time for you to start searching for a trash can. Also, I'm sorry, no I'm not. This thing is fuck ugly. This is what it would look like if IKEA started selling swords. I'm not even kidding around. Look at it. It looks like a Christmas tree right after you take it out of the box. What is this thing? Is this a club? The Great Executioner's sword. Well, no. Okay, hang on. Just chill out. Look, I'm sad about this too, okay? But we need to talk about this weapon. What is it lately with this weird syndrome going around where people see a one-shot build on YouTube and immediately just decide that it's the only build worth considering? Have you ever actually tried to land this thing on a target that isn't stance broken? It's like trying to squeeze a piss through the center hole of a DVD. It's hard as fuck. This sword is a harsh but helpful reminder that the standard combat blow is always going to be king above all else. If the performance there is lacking, it's off to the trash bin. You definitely can one-shot plenty of bosses with this sword if you feel like pulling out the checklist and hunting down all the items required for that build, or you can just grab a weapon with a high base AR and stat scaling and watch your charged heavy sail through 500 pounds of armor like fucking Gilbert. And I doubt we're going to get that from a sword that pops off with free scaling. The skill is powerful, indeed, definitely more powerful than it has any business being, but is this what legendary armaments have to offer? Just a semi-capable range of consistent damage with one showstopper move that just whips if whatever you're aiming at doesn't stand still until the whole wind up? It's another magic greatsword. That's all I have to say about it. The sword made almost entirely of light, but it still weighs 10 pounds. Nothing heavier than that, Roger. I hate to sound like I'm making some huge deal out of this when I'm sure it actually matters to like 0 people, but wasn't Elden Ring's whole philosophy based on making gameplay more accurate to the lore? Isn't that why Malenia and Mog are as nut-kickingly powerful as they are in the game? So if that's the case, then isn't holy damage also supposed to be the most powerful lore-wise? Why does it only have like 3 applications in game? Why are you guys doing this? This is a wonderfully designed weapon, mind you. It's not even that this weapon is bad. It's that this greatsword should be topping the list with how legendary it is. But unfortunately, everything about how this sword works just feels serviceable, decent, not bad. And not bad is not a criteria that a legendary armament should be struggling to meet. I feel like I would have a better time just slapping a Sacred Affinity on a great sword and playing pretend. Go ahead and try to explain why I found this thing where I did. Go on ahead. How did some dude cosplaying as a lion hiding out in the frozen cave somewhere in Mount Son of a Bitch end up scratching his ass with one of the most storied swords in all of existence? The Inseparable sword seems to pull all of the necessary weight and then some, despite its weapon skill being smaller and overall less damaging, and that's one thing I feel I should give some due credit for, is the unique skill on this weapon. It's good. It's very good. It's not great, it's very good. The initial shockwave acts as a miniature, slightly more underwhelming Wrath of Gold or Rejection type spell. The follow-up is just a giant Holy Slice anime attack that does just as much damage as it looks like it does. The knockback utility is a nice addition, but running into the massive end-game wall where everyone starts learning how to deal with holy damage just makes this sword less desirable on pretty much any account. Unless you're going after the Deathbird and Consecrated Snowfield, in which case I guess it can stick around a little longer. Well, hope the divorce was worth it, guys. Okay, so we're finally heading out into the territory where the weapons are actually getting, dare I say, legendary. Up until this point, the weapons I've talked about weren't bad. Some of them I actually really enjoyed, but I always felt like I had better options at my disposal. This is where that stops. The bolt of Grand Saxe was once so powerful that it was renowned throughout the entire nation as the only thing to have ever pierced the walls of Langdell. It was so powerful that it single-handedly catalyzed the war against dragons. War-wise, it's easily the most powerful weapon you could possibly ask for, but a lot of decisions here don't make sense to me. Okay, listen, I'm growing just as tired of bitching about weird lightning scaling as much as you guys are listening to it, so grab your pillows, because today you're attending a lecture on why double dipping just ends up being a pain in the ass for everyone. Additionally, to my knowledge, it's one of the only legendary armaments you can entirely just miss out on if you're not careful. Killing Malekith means that giant bolt is no longer there, and therefore the weapon itself as well. A huge selling point of the spear is that it actually shares the bonus given to you by the dragon scale weapons, and that it does extra damage to dragons, which almost feels like an elaborate practical joke, seeing as how most of the endgame dragons have lightning resistance out the ass. I like having access to a sniper rifle where most enemies in the game suffer from awful nearsightedness, where they lose focus of anything standing 10 feet in front of them, but when that doesn't go well, you're just immediately out of options. Because, let's face it, 0 people are out there using this spear because they like spears. The only reason you do, I'm sure, but split-scaling weapons have this weird tendency to bring out some really awkward stat choices in players. Sure, leveling up both intelligence and faith so you can take full advantage of everything this sword gives you sounds foolproof on paper, but by the time you've reached the endgame, both your stats are barely tickling 50 with little investment into anything else. And then you wonder why your standard physical attacks are doing shit all. I'm gonna be bluntly honest, this sword takes a lot of setup. Probably more than it's worth to a lot of people, but if you have a negative opinion of this weapon, there is a high chance you might just not be building effectively for it. When it comes to intelligence versus faith, just pick a single direction and just keep going. Don't look back. If you commit to the split too hard, you're just gonna rip your ball sack in half. Either direction has a massive upside. Leveling magic means you basically get a studio apartment-sized comet Acer that evaporates anything human-sized and doesn't waste a spell slot, and leveling faith means you get a neat crowd-controlled fire fan that does way more damage than it probably should, making it a wonderful tool for both farming and self. Building in either direction gives you your own personal fuck you I win button with plenty of benefits outside of, oh look, damage. Probably one of the best options you could ask for in New Game Plus. Though Luren's greatsword is a galactic ass spanking paddle from outer space like no other. You ever feel like sucker punching a dumbass with the whole Andromeda galaxy? This is your weapon. 50 strength sounds like a requirement, but the penalties for not meeting the stat requirements are actually more forgiving than most other weapons. Most notably, not meeting the magic requirements means you won't be able to use the weapon skill, but you'll still be able to get all the damage you can out of normal attacks. It's not like they're missing out on stomps of damage anyway, since the base magic damage is a measly 37, and the intelligence scaling caps out at a high D. I got a high D with a strength scaling on this bitch, that's what I'm after. The little rock explosions on the charge heavies make for a nice bit of extra magic and poise damage, while also giving this a bit of personality. Unique skill is simply an embellishment, and although you can squeeze out plenty of damage from it, it's not the crux of the weapon. Keep in mind this bastard demanded you can 50 strength from you to begin with, so if you can even pick this thing up, then you're already defeating shit with standard R1 anyways. This is the sword that actually earns the legendary moniker, in my opinion. One of the best. The Dark Moon Greatsword is a legendary armament worthy of that title for more than just a couple of reasons. It's got insane damage right out of the gate just without any build modification, but that's not really why. The skill is both intuitive and FP efficient, but that's also not why. It's been 8 years and I still can't stop thinking about Bloodborne or pining for a remake in a few years because a PC port is out of the fucking question at this point, but that's not even why. Up until now, we've been finding these legendary armaments in the least likely of places. One of them can be found off of Bell-bearing Hunter. You find one just hanging out in the castle, another plunged in a wall somewhere. 3 of them wound up in Misbegotten territory. Not sure why they ended up with the lion's share, but pointing out everything that doesn't add up is just going to keep me here for the rest of the day. This weapon has an entire side quest that has you... and a bunch of other shit I don't feel like mentioning because I'm too lazy to capture footage for it. But let's just say this weapon requires you to jump through some fucking hoops. The unique skill is wonderfully efficient for FP, like I said. The frost projectiles can be boosted with the Godfrey icon, Shard of Alexander, Magic Shroud Tier, all that good, and the extra frostbite application does the focus. If it weren't there at all, I don't think my opinion on this sword would even change that much. I didn't write an outro again. You know what? I like this trend of like putting a shit ton of effort into all of the intros that I make and then just not having an outro, like at all. I think I'm gonna continue doing that. I haven't seen anyone complain about it so far, or like feel like it's weird. So I guess I'm just gonna keep doing it. How about fucking in card? Yeah, here you go. Click on that shit. Whatever I decide to put on, whatever it is, click on it. First newborn season has arrived. Bug life is gone.
Building the schedule, managing employee availability, and time off. There's so much that can keep you stuck in the back instead of doing what you love. At Runnerwear, you've got your back, office. So you can get back to running your business and get
Do you remember what you were doing 18 months ago? Taking exams, going on a first date with your current partner, celebrating Christmas? That's a pretty reasonable assumption, I guess, considering how the calendar works. 18 months ago, I was taking this exact video idea and shelving it for when I knew I was finally running low on equipment to make a list out of, but still wasn't quite ready to scrape the rim of the trash can lid for banger video ideas like Lim Grade 3 tier list, or what your main weapon says about you, or some other BuzzFeed adjacent waste of surface space. Those are mine, by the way. I'm calling those. Hey, they'll probably never happen, but if you've ever wondered how close I am to surrendering to mental illness, whether or not those videos have been made, could be a great indication. Alright, fuck this weird-ass monologue. Let's just do the video. The value of a set of armor is determined by many stats, many conditions, and many isolated variables that seem unimportant by themselves, but are worth more than the sum of their parts when put together. Some armor sets are excellent against a very specific type of damage, while others could offer really great poison or cross resistance. Heavier armor sets give the player an absurdly high force value, while lighter sets allow you the movement range of a caffeine-addled kid in a trampoline park. The ultimate point is, a list of 126 anything objectively cannot be simple. Yet when I was formulating all the stats and looking up how to multiply shit on Google Sheets, I already knew exactly what the lowest spot would be reserved for. I didn't even know damage negation could get this low. It's the Bloodstone set. The set with the second lowest physical defense still reaches over double this amount, and its total elemental negation is 29.7. Most heavy armors have higher defense values against a single element. This is an unprecedented level of pathetic. This shit is like the Wingstop fries of armor sets. You might as well cut up a yoga mat and duct tape the pieces to your knees and shoulders. A child's bicycle helmet could offer more protection than this. I would feel safer charging into combat wearing a cardboard box. Everything about this armor set is just miserable, and the only attention it ever deserves in any context is to be laughed at and ignored. Number 125, the Marionette set. Absolutely no surprises here. You need only take a single glance at the armor's icon because it tells you everything you need to know. One single comparison with any armor piece and the subsequent wall of blue text showing up in front of your face tells this armor set's entire story in less than 5 seconds. It only fulfills 2 of the 4 armor slots, which is a large contributor to its piss-poor defense, but there are entire 4-piece sets that weigh less than this. These 2 pieces of armor weigh over 12.5 pounds together, and that's in exchange for less than 9% lightning negation and some of the worst status resistance I've ever laid my innocent little eyes on. I would feel pretty vulnerable too if I unscrewed and degraded my dad's wood pellet grill and started wearing it like a fucking blazer. Number 124 and 123, the 2 festive sets. The hell are you dancing for? Sit your ass down. And how does that weak-ass blanket add 1.5% strike negation? That's the only thing that gets added to the whole set, so am I supposed to believe this pillowcase-looking sheet of wasted materials is going to protect me from getting injured? The blue set actually subtracts fire negation, I assume because dried burlap hanging off your back isn't exactly the most fire-proof strategy. Both sets only give you 30 resistance against bleed and frost, which are some of the worst numbers you can find versus some of the most oppressive status effects in the game. And the others are barely enough to be considered serviceable. Damn shame too, because these honestly look sexy as hell. Number 122, the Juvenile Scholar set. This set, on the other hand, does not look sexy as hell. Nothing about the aesthetic of pumping up 120K for a business degree from St. Pissler University and then working in fast food for the next 7 years screams the word sexy to me. And whatever kills you to slap at least a little more magnification on this, I mean, sure, it's barely a decimal point higher than the others technically, but this is a magic road. I'm not expecting brick wall defenses or anything, but anything more than 6% standard damage negation would be a nice favor. There is no way so many people were that desperate to get into the academy if this was the shit you wore to lectures. Number 121, the Alvin Norris set. I've noticed a common theme with these bottom-level sets, which is that they're usually missing 1 or 2 pieces of what's normally a 4-piece ensemble. That's already a pretty massive advantage, and chances are you've already settled on a build by then. And if that build doesn't involve arcane, then there isn't going to be any point to this. 13 pounds for 23 points. Go fuck yourself. Number 120, Fetus set. Well, it has great death play resistance. That's about it. Actually, no, it's not even that great. It's only good considering the size and weight of the full set, which again consists of only 2 goddamn pieces. I don't ever try to make 153 vitality sound bad, but death play is one of the least common status effects you ever run into. It's right up there with sleep. I'm sure my opinion will change when Shadow the Earth Tree introduces big-ass death play throws or some shit, but even then, Thea's set still doesn't even fall in the top 10 highest vitality resistance sets. It doesn't even fall in the top 20. 2 of the starter class armors have higher vitality than this set. Number 119, House Murray. The Thea and House Murray sets were so close to each other in terms of just about everything that I only decided to give House Murray the edge, which was extra 1 point of arcane. And exactly 1 point above the Thea set is all the good grace it's getting from me. 4% total pierce negation, I think, might be the lowest of any defense I've seen in the whole game outside of the Blood-Soaked set. Elemental negations are a straight 60 to change across the board, which will never do anything special. And its highest stat resistance being focus, honestly, just makes me mad. This rogue gives me nothing but pain and bother, and I'm sick of looking at it. Number 118, the Old Aristocrat set. Wow, a roguelike get-up with defenses that aren't actual dog shit, just kidding me, so suck. 12 across the board for physical negation. Elemental negations are okay, I guess, but the extremely low holy defense just means it's going to get sacrificed into the garbage once you head into Lane Bell and beyond. It's still only a 3-piece set, which means no matter how good the defenses are individually, you're still missing out on a potential 1/4 of total damage negation. And when the deciding factors between which armors go where are so tightly packed together that you had to make an Excel sheet just for this video, 1/4 makes a large difference. Number 117, the Ruler set. 2-piece, new piece. This helmet gives 1 extra face. Alright, you know what? Fine. You sell me the set thing. You try to see how hard this shit is. Giving you 1 extra face is the only standout feature, so why should I give a shit about highlighting anything else? You want me to talk about its shit-awful physical negation for 30 seconds like you're not going to hear it anywhere else 57 other times in the script? Well, nuns don't work on Sundays and neither do I. Today's Sunday, by the way, when I'm typing this line. So just some context for you there. Number 116, the Traveler set. Traveling implies certain hardships like adversity and combat and long hikes with your friends or something. And this set prepares you for absolutely none of that, despite being as fashionable as it is, because if we're going specifically by the aesthetics, this might be one of my favorite sets, as I'm sure is the case with millions of other players. If you can handle this set being ranked as low as it is due to its shit defenses, then you can probably handle most of what I'm throwing at you in this video without getting too crazy. Number 115, the High Page. Now, you want me to talk about its shit-awful physical negation for 30 seconds like you're not going to hear it anywhere else 57 other times in the script? Well, nuns don't work on Sundays and neither do I. Today's Sunday, by the way, but I'm typing this line, so just some context for you there. Number 116, the Traveler set. Traveling implies certain hardships like adversity and combat and long hikes with your friends or something. And this set prepares you for absolutely none of that, despite being as fashionable as it is, because if we're going specifically by the aesthetics, this might be one of my favorite sets, as I'm sure is the case with millions of other players. If you can handle this set being ranked as low as it is due to its shit defenses, then you can probably handle most of what I'm throwing at you in this video without getting too pissed at me. Number 115, the High Page. Now, here's a set no one in their right mind is going to defend. At least not without taking off their hood that looks like it got caught in a paper shredder and clumsily hiding it behind their back. The focus here was clearly its elemental defense, and some of them begin to tickle the scrotum of the 20 mark, but not quite reaching it. The saddest resistances are a damn proper joke, since its 2 highest are focus and vitality at 147, but any of the actual stat defenses that would have been useful can barely climb above 70. In a video topic where higher numbers objectively mean a higher ranking, this set somehow manages to take high numbers and make them look like total shit. Number 114, the Fur set. It's definitely not preferable, and I definitely won't make fun of you too much if you decide to say it looks good, even though we both know it's just because you like staring at your character's legs. Considering its weight, the physical defenses honestly aren't the worst possible option, and it's also one of the few sets with lightning as its highest elemental defense. But those comparisons can only be made when looking at its own stats. You'll end up seeing just how frequently this set loses out against other pieces in your inventory as soon as you start comparing it. The only possible use for this would be its higher than average immunity method. And even then, I have items and a spell for that. Number 113, the Aristocrat set. Physical defense is shit, elemental defense is shit, stat resistances are laughable. Might as well be strolling into battle with a graphic t-shirt and cardigan pants on. Number 112, the Guilty set. This one is somehow worse than the one below it, but its weight as a whole set is also considerably lower. And if I'm forced to choose between awful and awful, but my feet aren't glued to the fucking floor, then that sounds like a pretty obvious choice to me. Number 111, the Rare Lucarian Sorcerer set. This one was originally ranked 116th, but after having an educated glance at its defenses, I decided that maybe not all of it could be considered bad. Most of it definitely can, but there's an oddity here that I think most people miss. The fire negation you get for its weight is surprisingly really good, sitting at around 23%. And expecting that its lightning negation is proportionally lower than the average, I can only assume these numbers are what they are, because it rains all the goddamn time and no one in the academy knew how umbrellas work. Number 110, the champion sets. Physical negations are okay. 17% strike defense, which isn't something you typically see